Yo, what is up guys, Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, apologies for the lack of videos recently. Boxing has been relatively quiet in recent weeks, well, ever since the start of 2024. And quite frankly, nothing's really tickled my interest all that much to cover, hence the lack of videos. But I wanted to talk about Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall, the rematch once again. Of course, this fight is going down on the 27th of April. And upon my initial video, I said in that video, I felt it was too late for this fight to be happening, and that I wasn't looking forward to it all that much. However, I have to say, after the press conferences, it's kinda got me a little excited. Now listen, maybe these days I'm a filthy casual. It may be that, but the press conferences were kind of fun. I do believe that the tension between these two fighters is real. And potentially, who knows, maybe it could play a factor on fight night. I know a lot of people tend to write that off when it comes to fights. Ultimately, these guys are professionals. And I would say most of the time it doesn't play a factor. But to say it never plays a factor, I would say is wrong. Sometimes fighters get in their feelings, they fight a certain way, etc., and it negatively impacts their performance. Could this be one of those occasions? I don't know. One thing I will say, Jack Catterall to me does look rather on edge. He looks rather rattled by Josh Taylor's presence. Josh Taylor is seemingly getting under Jack Catterall's skin early in the build-up, to the point to where Catterall tried to slap Josh Taylor a couple of times in these two press conferences. So yeah, Jack Catterall seems very amped up, and maybe as we get closer to this fight, he needs to rein that in to maintain his performance levels. If you look at Catterall's style, he is a bit of a sniper, very low output type of fighter, likes to take the half step back in that southpaw style. He'll fire the jab, he'll pull with the jab, he'll try and time you coming in with his straight left hand, or sometimes his right hook, even an uppercut here and there. He's a guy who likes to see his opponents make the first move, then he reacts. He's that sort of fighter. And, given his style, if he goes into this fight emotional, maybe that goes out the window and he fights in a manner in which favours Josh Taylor. That's definitely very possible. Though maybe him having a bit more fire in his belly will actually suit him well if he ups that output a little bit, because I always said about that first fight, one of the lasting memories is Josh Taylor getting dropped by Jack Catterall, and he was buzzed by that shot. But what a lot of people don't recollect, in my opinion, is that Catterall buzzed Josh Taylor a few times in that fight, but he never really capitalised. He was so low output, it kind of hurt him. Well, it did, as we know by the result. And then he kind of got negative and started to hold, started to maul to try and, win on points. So maybe this added fire under Jack Catterall's bonnet will actually be a positive for him. We'll see. He's definitely got an edge to him coming into this fight. But I also wanted to talk about Josh Taylor. Now, I've seen a few people's takes on Josh Taylor. Some people are speculating that he doesn't look as mean, he doesn't look as aggressive as he usually looks in these type of environments. Obviously, Josh Taylor's got this reputation of being a bit of a bully boy, very aggressive at press conferences, very snarling and mean, etc. We never really saw that in these Jack Catterall press conferences. Taylor was kind of having fun, trying to make jokes at Catterall's expense, which was working. He was kind of trolling and having fun. Now, me personally, I think that's by design. I think that's a strategic play by Josh Taylor, personally. Maybe that's a good move for him, not to get involved with Jack Catterall and try to control the situations when they meet or when they're together. Maybe that is by design. I suspect it is. But what I was worried about in regards to Josh Taylor, and what I've been worried about for a long time about Josh Taylor, is how he's living his life outside the ring. Now, during the first press conference, because there was two, there was one in Scotland and one in England. During the first press conference, I felt Josh Taylor looked terrible. He looked haggard, he looked weathered. It looked like he went out on the town the night before. You know, got a few beers down him and maybe a bit more. That's what he looked like. It looked like he could barely hold his eyes open. Maybe he was training before, I don't know. Maybe he done some travelling, I don't know. Could be that, could be illness, could be anything like that, right? But there's long been rumours about Josh Taylor and his conduct outside the ring, mainly in regards to living the life. You know, people speculate that his diet outside of fight camp is poor, but mainly he likes his substances, whether it be legal or illegal, allegedly, white powder and all that. These rumours have been going around for a long time, and I look at Josh Taylor, he's 32, 33, something like that, and for me, in the last couple of years or so, maybe I'm tripping, but it looks like Josh Taylor's aged about 5 years and 2 years. Now, maybe my perception is off, I don't know, but that's my biggest concern for Josh Taylor, and that's been a concern of mine for a long time. Even before the Teofimo Lopez loss, I've made reference to that. Another factor as well, obviously, is this fight being at 140, which I think favours Jack Catterall. But the psychological warfare that we've seen in the two press conferences actually does interest me. And I'll tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of Carl Froch, George Groves too. If you go back to their two fights, the first fight, George Groves did a really good job of getting under Carl Froch's skin, and the circumstances were very similar. Groves was unproven at the time, whereas Froch had all these world title fights, etc. And Froch had the attitude that Groves shouldn't be there, and Groves played on that. He got under Froch's skin, he trash talked. Without doubt, he got in Froch's head. The first fight went how it went. Carl Froch performed terribly, got a gift stoppage. In the rematch, however, in the build-up, Froch took a completely different angle. He refused to bite on what George Groves was saying, and almost became the troll himself, kind of frustrating George Groves in the build-up. He took George Groves a lot more seriously, and in the rematch he fought a lot more composed, a lot more circumspect, picking his moments better. He was a lot more switched on than the first fight, and we saw the seeds for that in the build-up. Are we seeing something similar in this Josh Taylor-Jack Catterall fight? Because Josh Taylor had a similar attitude about Catterall before their first fight, that Catterall hadn't beat anybody, he didn't deserve to be there. You know, he lashed out at Jack Catterall a couple of times before their first fight, and we saw how Josh Taylor performed. It looked like he wasn't prepared in the slightest. You know, it looked like he didn't take Jack Catterall seriously. Are we seeing a switch up now from Josh Taylor? Is he taking a leaf out of Carl Froch's book? You know, what Carl Froch did before the second George Groves fight. That's what this reminds me of. This initial build-up, that's what this reminds me of. I think there are other factors in this fight. However, in regards to Josh Taylor, like I said, his outside the ring antics, also this fight being at 140. But I do like Josh Taylor's psychological approach to this fight much more than first time around, I will say that. I know a lot of people don't really take into account these sort of things, and that's fair enough. I do now and again when I think it's relevant. I think it could be relevant in this fight. Anyway, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Del Boy, peace.